This is Grapplers Talk.
What is up, fans of Grapplers Talk? This is Dave coming at you with another awesome episode. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for downloading and listening to each and every episode. We appreciate all of the love and support we get each and every week. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere where you listen to podcasts. We are there. Give us a subscribe and like. Give us the love. I'm here with an awesome guest. I've been excited for this interview for quite some time now. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. We are going to have the man here, the leader of JG Academy, Javier Gomez. Man, what is up, brother? How are you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for coming out here and driving out here and doing this. So thank you too. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for being on this episode and being a part of this, man. And really, I wanted to just have you on to kind of talk to you, get to know you a little bit better, get to know your story. I can tell you're a hard worker, man, and you can definitely see that you take pride in what you do, and I think you're making a pretty good impact on the jiu-jitsu community. So just wanted to get you on, introduce you to our fans. We've had a couple affiliate people on the show. We had Eric Martinez, Alika Foster, and Will Alexander, people like that that have been awesome to talk to, man. But let's just introduce yourself. How did you get started into jiu-jitsu? Who introduced you into the sport? Like, where did you originally go?
So I originally started martial arts actually in karate with my brother, and then we moved from San Jose to the Central Valley, and where I used to train karate was obviously too far. And I stopped doing martial arts for a while, and then when I was about 25, I started getting interested again, trying to look for a place to train, and jiu-jitsu was coming up, so I've been doing that for about 15 years, and jiu-jitsu started being more known. 20 years ago, it was barely coming out here in the U.S., and I started in Manteca under Jason Cortez. He had his Charles Gracie affiliate, great guy, still talk to him, still hang out with him to the day. Great family, and that's how I got into it. Actually, me and my brother started at the same time. My brother, I started jiu-jitsu actually because my little brother's bigger than me, and we really wouldn't fight, but we would play wrestle a lot, and right. He's probably one of the strongest persons I've ever met, so he would throw me around. So that's actually the reason I started jiu-jitsu, so I can hang with him. And just been doing it ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jason Cortez has a good name in the community. He's been around a very long time. Mm-hmm. I know his school. I remember seeing them back in the early days, like around 2000, maybe 8, 2009.
That's right.
Like he was around back then. So shout out to him. But so getting into jiu-jitsu just because you had a brother, right? Yeah, that's a good thing, right? Yeah. I have a cousin. We're similar in age and probably the same thing. We used to get into little scuffles growing up, and I understand that.
Yeah. So that's why literally I started training.
Yeah.
Again, we wouldn't fight mad, but just even play wrestle. I cannot let my little brother beat me up. So
right. And back then, were you doing many competitions or anything of that nature?
My first competition after starting to train jiu-jitsu was a month after.
Okay.
I just went in there and I started training just no gi. I never really wanted to wear the gi, to be honest.
Okay.
So after the first month, I did a tournament in Santa Cruz. And fell in love with it, and then probably after a good 6 months, I decided to try on the gi, and I love the gi now too.
Yeah, those there weren't many tournaments back in those days. It was kind of harder to find them.
Oh yeah.
Back when I started, the Gracie Open was a popular one that Caesar used to put on. Mm-hmm. That was usually in Pleasant Grove or somewhere around area.
Yeah, I did it twice in San Francisco. He did it twice, a while back. He did it in San Francisco.
Yeah, he's done it all over the place. And there weren't many tournaments, though, not like there are now. Now you can almost find one every single weekend. So... but getting into training and talk about those early days. Like, obviously, you're in there for no-gi. Did you have intentions on like doing any fights or anything of that nature, like with the MMA scene back then?
I did not. When I started jiu-jitsu, I already had my own construction company, so that was kind of my focus. But I wanted to do it as a hobby, but fell in love with it, and I was training every day.
Yeah.
And I did end up doing some MMA fights, but I don't plan anything. It kind of just like, oh,
It
this
just
seems cool.
happens,
Let's try it
right?
out. Yeah. So just kind of happened, and I enjoyed it. I ended up doing 4 fights.
Okay.
But I did not have the intention right off the bat, like, oh, that's why I want to train,
Right.
So, and then competition-wise is just, after I did that first tournament, just got hooked and just fell in love with it. And so just kept competing up to the day. Yeah.
And so, training, how did you avoid falling into the blue belt blues, right? A lot of people get into those. Sometimes it's injuries that come up. Did you have anything like that come up in your career?
Yeah, I would say probably purple belt.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt that more in purple belt.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I wasn't progressing on purple belt. I felt like I didn't do too good in my competition as purple belt. So I felt stuck, and that was the belt that I was like, man, do I really want to keep putting this much time into it? And then I remember when I was like kind of really doubting myself, I ended up getting promoted to brown belt. And I was a little upset because I didn't feel like I was ready for it. But then I actually did extremely well in my brown belt career competing.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of, I think it was more of a mental thing. I just was trying to push the process when you just got to kind of coast to it and just show up every day.
Yeah, it's the consistency, right? It's not about like training with an intention, not trying to focus on a belt or a certain thing. It's like just stay consistent and stay with it no matter what, right?
Yeah,
it's important.
And I feel like you shouldn't feel like you're competing with anybody else. Right. I think this is the beautiful thing about this sport. Like, it's really you against you.
Yeah.
In all reality, it's really you against you.
Right. Jiu-jitsu is such a personal journey. Yeah. Right. There's no two journeys that are anything alike. Mm-hmm. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Right. Yeah. Everyone has their own certain path. Right. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes injuries, whatever it may be. But jiu-jitsu is a very personal type journey situation.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So talk to me about how the birth of JG came about. I know you give a lot of credit to the woman sitting right here with us, which there's no shame in that, man. But talk to me a little bit about the birth of that. Yeah,
I mean, technically the first time I ever saw the logo, walking into the Manteca gym, and my wife and 2 of my friends, Domingo and Marcos, also black belts, they created the logo and just surprised me with the logo. Not even exactly sure why they did it, but I thought it was cool. And so it just kind of started growing from there, like we ended up becoming our own affiliation. And like as it grew, the schools, we opened up new schools, but it was always honestly a team effort. I don't feel like I was, the big part of pushing it. Not at all. I feel like I couldn't have done it without literally everybody that was involved and everybody that's even coming into the team. It's cool to see how, passionate they get about jiu-jitsu, but they also super supportive. I give a lot of credit to every single one of the students, from the white belt to the black belt that still trains with us.
Like, do you notice... like with that situation, maybe it was somebody seeing more potential in what you were doing and like the change that you were making than you might have even saw yourself. Is that kind of what it was? Because it sounds like you were just very humble in that situation, and everyone around you was like, hey, you got something here. You got something beautiful, and kind of pushing you to do that.
Like I've always had a lot of support. Like, people tell me that I do have a hard time believing that. I just I just try to do me. I try to do me, and I feel like one thing that I love to do is to help and be around people and see people grow and what better way than jiu-jitsu. I feel like when they say jiu-jitsu changes lives, it's done it for me, and since I've had the pleasure to teach, I've seen do that for other people. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of do what makes me happy, and then if anybody like enjoys it and sees it as something they want to do, I'd love to have them around and just grow together.
That's amazing. Like it's a very humble approach. Like you you take an awesome attitude towards that, man. And talk to me about what the secret sauce is at JG. Like, what is the attitude, or what is the environment, or the approach that everyone is wanting at a JG Academy?
One thing that I like, that we just try to have everybody be who they are. You know,
Right.
I really don't want to make it to where it's like, oh, okay, we're JG Academy, we have these rules, this is how
Yeah.
we have to act or anything. I feel like I try to just stick to 2 core rules: be good people, treat people like with respect, and that be who you are. You
Yeah.
know, and that be who you are. And I feel like that you cannot be happy or do what you like if you're not being who you are. So if we set those type of like standards where like, no, this is how we do things,
Yeah.
this is how the only way to do it, it's kind of hard to make
Yeah.
it work that way, right? So I think by just, you know, supporting and helping people who they are, whatever they're going through, whatever they're dealing with, and whatever way they express themselves, as long as it's not hurting anybody else and just helping other people grow, you know, I guess if you want to call that the secret sauce, we'll call
Yeah.
that the secret sauce, you know?
Yeah. Is there a certain approach you take to overseeing anything going on at other academies, or is it just a certain like trust that you have for the people opening up academies in your name? Or do you like, you know, go down and visit every once in a while to make sure, you know, certain things are looking good, or certain techniques are being met?
Technique wise, no, you know, I think everybody that ends up opening up under us, you know, they're good people. They have good jiu-jitsu. They have good intentions. So I go out to visit other schools. I do try to like do that quite a bit, but to just hang out with them and, you know, not be like, hey, you guys are just, you know, I'm just collecting because
Yeah.
you guys are using the name. No, like, no, I like hanging out with them.
Yeah.
I like going around, you know, I like training with new students that I don't get to see all the time, you know.
Right.
If anything, we can call it a little selfish. I do it mainly for the pleasure of me hanging out with the people that I care about, and I, you know, get to see them. So I don't mind making the drive. I don't
Yeah.
mind going out there. So
Right.
it's actually enjoyable to me. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the behind the scenes. Obviously, you know, this is something you said you couldn't do by yourself. You know,
Yeah.
you got a great team of people with you. Talk to me a little bit about the behind the scenes of what it takes to, you know, open an academy in general, but then, you know, to start working towards multiple academies or affiliates.
Yeah, definitely couldn't do this by myself. You know, you're saying this beautiful lady right here next to me, give top credit to, because you know, she puts up with me being very busy all the time, you know, and she's out there supporting me, and she goes with me, and you know, I don't feel any type of stress from that. She's always pushing me forward, right? And then the students and the instructors that we have, they're great people. You know, I teach mainly in Brentwood. I have a young lady that manages the school, Crystal. She's doing an amazing job. We have Tracy, Alika, and Will. Like you said, you've interviewed them before. Great people. They're growing the school there in Tracy. Modesto, a good friend of mine, Marco and Diana, awesome people. They're managing that school. So it's just Domingo and Manteca. Man, there's just good people. I really, they do it themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just there for the ride, but they do it themselves. You know, of course, anytime they have any questions or anything I can help with, I try to be, you know, as helpful as possible. But I just think that I don't feel like I manage it at all, because even in my other companies, I feel like if people want to do it, they just do a good job at it.
Right.
That's simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about, so in life, you know, obviously you want to do things that you love to do, right? And that's probably a portion of why, you know, most of us get into this thing, right? We want to help change people's lives with jiu-jitsu, and talk to me a little bit about that, and what it means to you to be a mentor to people, and to help impact lives all around the Central Valley. You know, you're not just stuck to your 4 walls in Brentwood or wherever the location is, right? You're touching people all over the area. So talk to me about what that means to you.
Means a lot. Means a lot to me. It means I don't feel like, of course, I'm doing much for that. All I'm trying to do is, show them what I did and what helped me, and then at the end is their choice to grow from it. And it does mean a lot to me because I love seeing people happy. I don't know. It's kind of the thing. Like, I truly, like, I enjoy
Seeing
that quite a bit.
success, right?
Yeah.
That's
I enjoy
important.
that a lot. And it's super cool to see, people that come in, from whatever. And the reason that I spend so much time using jiu-jitsu to be able to kind of help out people, whatever we want to call it, is because jiu-jitsu is so unique.
Right.
Like you said, everybody is their own journey, right? You're not following anything in reality. We might show some moves and stuff like that, but even if you really think about it that way, you can show a class the exact same move, but when you're rolling, everybody does it different, right?
Right.
You end up creating your own game, and kind of that's why I try to tell my students, you guys are not competing against anybody else. You're just bettering yourself. You're just challenging yourself every day a little more. So that's why I think I use jiu-jitsu as a tool to. It's so hard. It really is. It's so hard. It takes so much time, and it's
one of the hardest things in the world.
Yeah,
right.
And if you think about it, anything hard is most likely good for you. And like you said, jiu-jitsu being one of the hardest things is like, it's an easy path to better yourself. You're doing something really hard every day, so you're gonna get better all around, not just in jiu-jitsu, but even as a person. It's I think it's a big. Not just body exercise, but mental exercise. Like I've seen 100%. People with anxiety. I've seen people with depression just gone just because they get into it. So it's a beautiful thing.
I was talking to somebody recently. Nowadays people lose weight. People meet their spouses. It's crazy. Like,
exactly.
But it really connects people. And some of my best friends to this day, we met years ago in jiu-jitsu, and we've been in each other's weddings throughout 20 plus years. So it's really it's important, those relationships and how people you never know what jiu-jitsu is going to bring, right? It's so unpredictable, but that if you do it, it's going to change your life. And talk to me about building an academy, right? And there's a lot that goes into it, right? It's not just, putting mats down in a space, right? You got to actually put a game plan into it and marketing tactics and things like that. What are some of the approaches that you take, but also keeping it fresh, right? Keeping everything nice and new in the academy and looking good.
I'm laughing because I've been asked that question, and the answer. I'm gonna be honest. I don't plan anything. I kind of go with the flow. Like, yes, we like, hey, it'll be cool to open an academy, or a lot of the academies have been open because students would want to open their own academy, and we do it to help them out. And not just with jiu-jitsu, even with my other businesses, I like to work under pressure. So I don't like to plan much. So when we open an academy, like, honestly, our process is, one, find the spot. Yes, do some research that, it's a good spot. And the construction wise, we kind of design it as we're going. Like, oh, this be cool. Oh, this be like really cool to have it in this school. And then the marketing part, I like through jiu-jitsu, friends that have experience in marketing, and they're always willing to help. And that's kind of, technically, we kind of have our own little marketing team that, between the students, somebody's opening up a school, everybody's willing to pitch in with whatever they can to help, whether it's marketing, word of mouth, or with construction, whatever it might be. So same thing as a team. We do it as a team. Yeah,
that's awesome. So many people don't know what it takes, and it does take a village of people, right, to have your back and to put in those long hours at the gym and setting the mats and everything that needs to be done, right? There's a lot that goes into it. But it's definitely a lot of hard work, and the people around you make it a little bit easier, right?
For sure.
And
they make it
more
fun
doable,
too.
right? Put on some music or something and get to town. So let's talk a little bit. And so do you have any intentions of doing any sort of competitions coming up or anything like that for you, or are you just focusing on building the school and building the brand?
Probably the next competition I'll be doing would be Nogi Worlds.
Okay.
Done it every year for the last maybe about 5 years. So definitely plan to do it again this year. That's the next competition. And then I don't know if I'm thinking about it. Haven't told her, so we'll see how it goes. But I really want to do Europeans. It's one of the bigger tournaments I haven't done yet.
Very cool.
So possibly this year.
Yeah.
And then I love competing, so I'm always gonna compete. You know, no matter what. It's just I enjoy it. So.
What is a high caliber grappler like you do in preparation for a competition like No-Gi Worlds? What's your diet like? What's your training like?
It doesn't. The biggest thing that changes is when I'm getting ready for a competition. For training wise, I do talk to the students like, hey, you know, and a lot of the students are getting ready for it too, so it kind of works out. But like, hey, getting ready for a competition, you know, I'm gonna be rolling a little harder, you know. I try to not give up any points, you know, really push the pace, really, you know, look for submissions. Try to, like, you know, like normally if I'm rolling with students and I want to work with them, you know, we move around a little bit. When I'm getting ready for a competition, I do try to set the mindset, and that's why I tell them like, hey, I'm not mad. I'm just as I'm just training hard. Yeah. And they're all super supportive, you know. So that's the biggest change that I do for my training. Diet wise, you know, I'm lucky. My wife basically cooks for me every day, and she cooks amazing. So she knows that when I'm getting ready, if I'm cutting some weight, you know, she cooks certain foods. Water. Less beer, more water. So, and those are the biggest changes that I would say I would do. I would say, you know, try to hit open mats at different schools, get some different movements. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Definitely more open mats. Definitely visiting some different schools, and that's kind of what I do for. Anytime I'm getting ready for a tournament.
Have you ever ran the risk of potentially getting injured rolling with new people at open mats that, you know, you may just not be used to or anything like that?
Never really. Yes, you do run the risk, but I don't think about that too much. I try not to be stubborn. I think a lot of the schools, all the schools that I normally cross train with, not to worry of somebody purposely trying to hurt me. You know, where they're going out there like, hey, I'm going to try to get this guy. But I just make sure I'm more cautious about myself. If, like, you know, if my knee's kind of weird that day, you know, like, okay, tap early, you know, like I get to control that. I definitely, you know, wouldn't go to a school if they have that rep, like, oh, you come in here, they're trying to kill you. Train hard, yes, but not trying to injure. That's a different thing, right?
Right.
But normally the normal schools that I cross train, Kalani's one of them, you know, which I got to go back there and visit. Awesome people, you know, and I've trained in San Jose in a couple schools. So, and even within our own schools, I try to visit more, you know, teach a little bit less, get people to cover me.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, not injuries is not like a huge concern.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they can't happen. I just try to be careful about it. Yeah.
Have you had any major injuries throughout your jiu-jitsu career that has stopped you for quite some time or anything of that nature?
Probably the biggest, injury. We'll call it injury. I had a pretty bad sciatic for a while, but didn't stop training. Just focused more on my right side because I couldn't move my left side at all. But that's probably the biggest thing that I've had. But, you know, knock on wood, I haven't had no big injuries. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, some people, you know, they've definitely had some knee injuries or some shoulder issues, you know, throughout their jiu-jitsu careers. And you know, it gets them out of the gym and gets them a little discouraged. You know, what would you say to someone that's coming off of like an ACL injury or something of that nature to try to ease themselves back into jiu-jitsu? Or how do you get back into it, right? When's the right time?
Honestly, I'll use one of my students, a good friend, as an example. AJ, he runs Livermore. He had a pretty major knee surgery. I'm not sure what exactly it was, but it was pretty major. That they told him like, hey, no training for a year. And he was a kids instructor, and he, you know, we told him like, hey, we'll get it covered. He was literally back 3 days after his uh, injury, in crutches, on the mats. If you really want to, you could still be on the mats. You don't have to roll, right? You could still be on the mats. It still feels good to be around, especially if you're around a group of people that you care about and you enjoy being around.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to be rolling, because physically you can, but even watching the move with the group, asking questions, you're still involved. You feel more involved than just completely like, oh, I can't do nothing, I'm going to go stay at home.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, if you can, put on your gi, get to the mat, sit down with your team, and just,
It's
do what you
important.
can.
Yeah.
Even if it's just sitting there and watching, do that.
Yeah, I tell people that as well. Get in the gi, right?
Yeah.
Just still put your
Yeah,
gi
still
on,
feels
tie your
good.
belt, right? Walk around on the
Yeah.
cushion mats,
Exactly.
make
Yeah.
sure that you're just not walking away from it altogether.
Exactly. It's hard. It
Yeah.
would be a lot harder to get back into it if you completely go away for for a long time.
Yeah. I know a lot of people struggle with that. That's the biggest thing. They say, injuries happen at blue belt or whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and then they walk away and they're away for good.
Yeah.
So it's important that people hear this kind of stuff and know, like, hey, it's okay to just hang around the
Yeah,
gym
for
still.
sure.
Just if you can't get on the mats, you're that bad, still watch,
Yeah.
right? Pick up
Yep.
the move, take some notes.
Yep.
Take some videos, take some pictures, and take it back home and study it.
Yeah,
right?
at least you're staying in that routine of showing up to the gym.
Yeah.
You might not physically be able to do it, but at least you're showing up. Mentally, you're there.
Yeah.
So
As the head of a organization or as a head instructor of academy, how do you go about pursuing more knowledge, right? How do you pick up more things? Is it just in cross training, or do you, subscribe to certain things or go to certain seminars or anything of that nature to get more relevant on some of the newer stuff that's coming out?
honestly, I feel cross training definitely helps. I feel like I've learned a lot since I started teaching from in a weird way from my own teaching, because I'm paying more attention to it.
Right.
Because you're showing the move, you start getting the little details that I'm
Right.
like, shit. Oh, yeah, that
Mhm.
that makes sense. And then actually, I feel like I learned a lot from my students.
Yeah.
The jiu-jitsu's, for everybody. I've had white belts they don't even know what they did,
Yeah.
but I'm learning from it because like, shit, that was cool.
Right.
Yeah, and like, higher belts too. They're just everybody has different games, so everybody does something a little better than you,
Yeah.
and you do something a little better than other people,
Mhm.
right? So I just really try to pay attention to techniques, moves, whatever that somebody did, and it's so normal to them, but to me
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I need to learn that,
Right.
and I have no shame in learning from a white belt to a black belt. Like,
Right. Everyone
hey,
has
if it's
something
gonna-
to offer,
everybody
right?
has something to offer.
They may
Yeah.
be a little bit more athletic or have a little bit something
Exactly.
else that
Yeah.
you may not be taken into light.
Yeah.
But I've talked to other people on here and some high level black belts, and some of the important things that they've said is like you said, by teaching it, you're really hyper focused on
Yeah.
those moves, so you're really improving your game in teaching jiu-jitsu. So that's very true. The ability to break it down, right, and see the little nuances and the little details, where you put your hands, right, the grips you take, and all of those different things are very, very important.
Yeah, for sure.
What's some of the future goals, some of the future plans you have for, obviously, your jiu-jitsu journey? You never want to stop evolving, right? And, and also the JG brand as a whole.
For me, like future goals for jiu-jitsu is I want to, I told my wife I want to compete to the day I die.
Yeah.
And like that's just something I love doing. I want to do jiu-jitsu, not just compete, but like, obviously do jiu-jitsu and compete, and just my biggest goal is just to see people improving through jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
whether just being around jiu-jitsu, like whether it's at one of our schools or somebody else's school,
Right.
you still, jiu-jitsu is not a huge community in all reality.
Right.
So you see the same people, whether it's
Mhm.
at tournaments, you see them grow, you see them, telling you improving, whether it's in jiu-jitsu and life. So I just want to keep doing that.
Right.
I want to keep doing that. For the overall brand, it's just, it's a team brand. So,
Yeah.
I just want to see people keep growing with it. And, one day it's just going to be, just the brand that keeps growing.
Yeah.
And, I'm never going to quit, but,
Yeah.
I got my son that's 21, he reps the team Marco Mendes, he won Worlds as a brown belt, and it's such a great kid, and I could see him just keep pushing the brand, like,
Yeah.
keep growing it.
You said your son trains?
Yeah, he's 21. He's in Texas right now. He trains at our Dreamart JG Academy in Houston.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, he's one of the instructors there. He competes quite a bit, and also his girlfriend Tainara. They're both brown belt world champions, and super high level. You know, good kids, and I enjoy training with them. They beat the crap out of me, but it's always fun. My wife, she's a brown belt, and then our little one's a white belt. So it's just something that we do as a family.
Yeah, it's a family thing.
It's a family thing. It's a family thing.
That's important, right? Having the family in there with you, it makes it a little bit easier, in the long run, right? You get to see them a little bit more in classes and around the gym, right?
100%. It's I'm busy throughout the whole day with business. I don't know how. If they didn't train, I don't know how I would do it. Like, it'd be hard. Yeah, it'd be hard. It'd be really hard. Yeah.
And how do you manage a busy schedule like that? I mean, I know you told me before the show you really like being busy, and with a busy day, what time of day does your day start, and what does it kind of look like throughout?
I'm normally around 5 a.m. I'm up, heading to the Bay Area. I have a construction business that we do all the work in the Bay Area. Just pretty much there all the way till about 4 o'clock, then straight to teaching, and back home around 11 o'clock every day, 11 o'clock at night, and around 10 o'clock, 10:30, and then hang out with the family for a little bit. And that's just every day. Yeah. And it's just work and jiu-jitsu.
Doesn't stop,
yeah,
right?
It doesn't stop, yeah. And then, once, of course, we, got to make family time. So Sundays, I'm getting better. That's with me for Sundays to, make it a family day.
Right.
So,
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome, man. And, it's been awesome getting to know you a little bit and talk to you about some of these things. Excuse me. We have a little game we play on the show. It's usually called Overrated or Underappreciated.
Okay.
And we talk about different, MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever it is. If you want to get down, we can get down on that.
Yeah. Let's do it.
We'll throw out some grapplers. First of all, I want to hear your take. There's a big match coming up. Nicky Rod versus Michael Pixley. Both of them are great wrestlers. I'm just curious your take on it. Who do you think comes home with that victory on that one?
I think Nicky.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah.
They just he's a killer, man. He's super tough. So I mean, not taking credit away from, but I just think he's gonna bring it home.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good.
It's
match,
gonna be a good match.
That's gonna be fireworks. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be fireworks for sure. But
yeah.
But
let's go overrated or underappreciated. The first one, I've been curious. I've been asking quite a few people on this. Right, Cade Bertolo has won ADCC now. He's won CJI. He's obviously really, really good. Okay, Ty Bertolo, right, who everyone expects to win as well, has been getting injured and just falling short of some of those things. Overrated or underappreciated, Ty Bertolo?
I think he's underappreciated. Yeah. I think like you said, he's been getting injured. Just a little bit of bad streak, but those two guys just seem like they just push through, and he's gonna come back, and he's gonna come back really strong. So I think he's underappreciated. Yeah.
Do you think that maybe he changes up his style a little bit, like the more injuries that he accumulates down the road?
I don't think so. I think that's just
them.
That's
just
like,
them, right?
Okay.
They go crazy,
they go crazy. I think it's just them. You can't take that away from them, though.
I've seen videos where they go that crazy in like a grocery store, in the middle of a grocery store.
Yeah, I think that's just them. I don't think that's gonna change.
Who would you say is probably your most favorite grappler to watch out there in the scene right now?
Honestly, my son.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you're
awesome.
saying enjoy and watch that, don't get me wrong. There's tons of people that are amazing to watch, but
that's a good answer.
What's more special than watching your son compete at that level?
Right.
He competes at that level, so it's super cool to watch him. He just got his black belt too long ago, and he's like, I love watching him compete.
Awesome.
So
Yeah,
I'd say my son.
that's like the whole goal, right? I was able to see Kalani and he get his black belt, then Alika, and then
Yeah.
Cyrus and those guys, and that's got to be huge for a dad. Like, I'm a new dad. I have my daughter's
congratulations, man.
almost
That's
2,
awesome.
so I she's already training. I got her on the mats running
Yeah.
around, but that's like the ultimate goal, right? I want to see her
yeah,
get to that
for
level
sure.
and
Yeah.
to that point.
Yeah.
So, what would you give advice for somebody that wants their child to train, but also can't be too pushy in a sense, right?
Honestly, first thing is lead by example. It's get in. If you're not training, if for some reason you're not training, you want your kids to train, get in there.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Right.
You just take it at your pace, but just being there, encourages them. You're not asking them to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. And again, it's a good thing. There's nothing bad about it.
Yeah.
So I would say that's first thing, and then our 5-year-old. He's 6 now. Yeah, 6. Sorry, babe. Thanks for the correction. Like I said, she's a smart one. He's not a huge fan of it. So what we tell him is just like, look, we won't push you. You don't have to compete. You don't have to do that. You'll do that if you want to. But you're learning how to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're staying healthy. You're learning how to respect people, and you're meeting people.
Yeah.
Till the day you start paying rent, you're doing it. Not a choice. Because I have unfortunately seen where a lot of parents pull out their kids. So if there's something in advice, they pull them out because they say, oh, I don't want to do this. It's too hard. They're kids.
Right.
Us as adults sometimes
It's
are
hard
like,
for
shit, I
adults,
don't want to do this. It's too hard. But it's good for you.
Yeah.
It's good for you. So don't let them quit. And it's not because they're young.
Mm-hmm.
It happens a lot around, when they're 6, 7, 10, it's hard. It's a lot of work, and they normally do it in the beginning.
Right.
And that's where I see that a lot of students stop training, adults as blue belts because they get busy or but for kids, it's normally at a really young age and right in the beginning because it's uncomfortable for them. It's new, I guarantee it's very stressful for them. So they're just like, no, I don't want to go on that. And if you push them to like, no, you're going no matter what because I said so, then they're going to do it and not even like it and still end up quitting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then also if you don't oh, I don't want, okay, it's too hard, you don't have to do it. You got to show them, hey, hard things are good for you.
Right.
Just push through it. Give
Right.
me a solid 6 months of you actually trying. Then you can make your choice.
Yeah.
Most kids after, because most kids after 2 months, now they have friends. Now they're hanging out and they love it and they want to be. I've never seen a kid that's stuck with it for at least 3 months of actually trying that doesn't end up falling in love with it.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the kids, they end up quitting really early because it's like, well, this is hard.
Yeah.
It's
a lot harder than they
it's a
thought,
lot harder.
right?
Yeah, it's a lot harder or it's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I mean, you have kids controlling you, right?
Mhm.
You're uncomfortable. And then till you get past that, but you need time to get past that. So as a
Yeah.
parent, I think you just need to encourage them like, hey, just give me that time. Like, just
Yeah.
really give it a try. And you don't have to do it if you really, really don't like it, but don't quit before you even know if you actually like it.
Right.
So I would say that's probably my biggest piece of
Yeah.
advice for parents with young kids.
That's
you know?
a great piece of advice too. It's important. Like the hard things in life, if we continue to do those things, it's just going to make us stronger and stronger.
100%.
Right. If you carry a 100-pound weight up a hill every day, right? Eventually, you're going to be able to carry more weight.
Yeah.
Right. So, you got to keep trying those
Yeah.
hard things, and that's a great piece of advice. There's a lot of people out there and a lot of kids that start, and they lose interest real quick because they want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
They want to be the best right off the bat, and they got younger kids or other kids just whooping them up in practice, and then they're like, all right, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you keep pursuing those hard, difficult things. Sorry, we got a little bit away from our game for a bit. What's your thoughts on Mikey Musameshi?
Mikey, I think he's an awesome dude. I got the pleasure actually meeting him at one of the Worlds. He actually ended up wearing my gi to make weight. It
That's
was when he
awesome.
fought Rooster against Malfacino. great dude, and I mean his jiu-jitsu is just amazing. You know?
What's your take on the recent controversy around him trying to lose all that weight and missing the weight and missing the hydration behind that, and then he ended up in the hospital with some sort of breathing issue after that.
I think that was a bad call for his health. You know,
Right.
you know, I know he probably had good intentions, like, oh, well, I gotta switch fights now. I have to make this weight, whatever it might have been. Definitely not the right
Yeah.
call for him. Well, as we can see, you know,
Yeah.
it's not worth your health. It's not worth you know, risking your life almost, right?
Yeah. What's your thought on weight cuts like that? Big, extensive, weight cuts.
I
For
mean, it's
jiu-jitsu,
just,
right?
it's just even jiu-jitsu or MMA.
Mhm.
It's if it's to that point. I think weight cutting. I don't have nothing against weight cutting. I think if you do it right and safe and do it with time and do it proper, great. You know, like great. But when you do it to the point where you're risking your health,
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. You
Yeah.
know, like I don't agree with it because it's just obviously not worth it,
Yeah.
right? So I'm a little against not weight cutting. I'm
Yeah.
a little against where you try
Doing
to
it
go
the
too
wrong
extreme.
way.
Yeah, doing
Yeah.
it the wrong way. Doing
Yeah.
it the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah, we've all seen those crazy UFC fights
Yeah.
and people passing out on the scale.
Yeah, it's
and
just it's
things
too much,
of that
man.
nature,
You know,
man.
yeah.
It's tough, dude. Yeah, I hate to see Mikey, like do those big weight cuts. Like the older he gets, I think the worse those things are for your
Mhm.
body, as a whole. So I'd like to just see him. He's a small guy already, but for me, jiu-jitsu, like it's good to compete close to your weight. Like you don't need to cut 40 pounds
No,
to get into a match. That's a little absurd. you
Yeah,
know?
I think 10 pounds is for jiu-jitsu. If it's a big
Right,
tournament,
right.
that's
World,
about
something like
something
that,
like
that's
that. It's like,
acceptable.
okay, yeah, that's reasonable. But yeah, like 40-pound, 30-pound cuts is
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Even if they
Hey,
give you
but-
24 hours or whatever,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, even if, but I mean, I've seen it. People that do it healthy and do
Yeah.
it right, good for you. But like, if you know it's not for you,
Yeah. That's rough. Yeah,
It's
people's kidneys shut down and
yeah.
organs and things
Yeah.
like that. That can be really bad for
Exactly.
your entire jiu-jitsu career,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, your jiu-jitsu career and the loved ones that love you. Because if you end up getting,
Yeah.
pretty sick or anything, you're putting other people through it too.
Yeah, and so I don't know, as far as Gordon Ryan goes, right? He has a lot of health concerns from stomach issues, and there's a lot of different theories on why he has the stomach issues. I'm not getting into that, but like, for Gordon Ryan to be the GOAT and be out there, like he's got to be healthy too, right?
Yeah.
And you got to do whatever it is to take care of your body in that sense, so you can maintain being the top of your game, right? You
Yeah.
don't have matches where you're disappointed because you didn't feel good.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of different theories, and Gordon Ryan, he's seen a bunch of doctors around the country for that stomach
Yeah.
issue. So, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, overrated or underappreciated? Okay, I'm gonna say this in a specific situation. Luke Rockhold competing in jiu-jitsu, right? He's a great MMA guy, but he's been testing his hand at karate combat, jiu-jitsu, or CJI.
Mhm.
What do you think of him as a jiu-jitsu competitor? Overrated or underappreciated?
Of him competing, if you're asking me how do I see him as a competitor and they're making a big deal, I think it's a little overrated.
Right.
Of him doing it for him, I think it's a little underrated because that's cool. He wants to do it. Yeah, but if as a competitor, it's a little overrated.
Yeah.
The athletes nowadays that just done jiu-jitsu is just a whole different level. man.
Right.
It's
Or
a
the guys,
whole
the
different level.
wrestlers out there, right?
Yeah, it's a whole different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that in CJI. He
Yeah.
went up against a pure wrestler and got
Yeah.
tossed around
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good.
it's just, you gotta. Yeah, it's different now, man.
Yeah.
It's different.
What do you say? Okay, say you have somebody in your gym that wants to compete. What's your recommendation for their training? Like what do you guide them as? Like how would you set them up?
So it's funny because recently a couple of students asked me something similar, And what I was telling them is like, well, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking to compete as a hobbyist, do some local tournaments, just test yourself, enjoy it, or because it was a younger person, or you're looking to
Be the
go
best, yeah.
compete at Worlds and try to win Worlds. So first, you got to know what your goals are, right? Or at least an idea what your goals are. If somebody's telling me, hey, this is what I want to do, I want to go to Worlds, then you pretty much nowadays need to stop doing everything else.
Yeah.
This has to be your full-time thing. Like, I don't want to lie to them, right?
Competition seems big right now. Yeah,
you can't win Worlds no more if that's not all you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's not possible no more.
Yeah.
Meaning you're around, of course, teaching around jiu-jitsu 24/7.
Yeah.
When I first started jiu-jitsu, most people that were winning Worlds still had a job. You know, nowadays, I'll use my son for example. This is all he does, and and everybody he's fighting with is
That's
all they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all they do, and it's
Absolutely.
a huge difference now. So that's why I tell them, like, hey, if this is your career, your future that you want to do, you gotta hyper focus on this, and you this is all you can do. And if it's something that they're just like, no, I just want to test myself, like, then I kind of give them my training regimen, right? If like, okay, if you have a job, just try to show up as much as you can to the gym. This is for you. You're not. It's a little different when you're fighting to make a name for yourself,
right?
Make it your career. There is stuff on the line. You're doing it as a hobby. It's for you. There's really nothing on the line. You're just fighting, to test yourself, to better yourself, and you're gonna get better, win or lose, no matter what.
Right.
If you're fighting for a career, you pretty much want to win, and you have to win, right? That's just the rule. Yeah. You have to take it serious. So it just depends what they're looking for. So like my son, that's what he wants to do. I told him, like, hey, you got to go where you need to go. You got to train where you have to do it, and you got to go through not making money at first, because even though I can support him, I like to teach my kids, like, I'm there for you when you really, really need it, but the fun stuff, that's you. You pay for it, So you got to go through all the hard stuff and not just hand it out to him. And that's what he's doing, and he's doing good, and he's enjoying it. So that's my advice for somebody that wants to compete. Really know what you really want out of it.
Oh yeah,
because there's different levels.
Yeah,
there's different levels.
There is. That's a good point to make, though. Having, the average guy that just wants to go out and kind of feel good, maybe they set it on their goal board or something like that, right? To go out and compete and test themselves. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Competition's for everybody.
And that's the one thing about this sport that's so great, that you could be Master 6 and still be competing, and there's not many sports that you get to do that, like an actual tournament, so might as well take advantage of it and compete, and just not having your head, like, I seriously, when I go compete, I'm doing it for me. Like, I have another career. It's not, I'm not trying to go, be a multi-world champion, because I don't have the time. I have other things to do. Like, if that's something I really wanted to do, I would have to quit a lot of stuff. So I just go with the mindset of, like, this is for me, win or lose. Yeah, I did it for me.
How do you control that mindset day of competition? Are you listening to music, or like, what's your vibes?
Honestly, I work to the moment that I my phone goes off a lot. So normally for like I remember a Fight to Win, I was literally on a meeting for my construction company up to the moment where I started walking down the stage.
Wow.
But in a weird way, I feel like it helps me. I don't even think of the fight. It's like, oh, shit, now I got to fight. Yeah. So it doesn't let me overthink it. It doesn't let me get all nervous or anything, because I'm just busy doing something else. So and that's the honest truth. I kind of work,
That's interesting, though. Like,
it helps me.
Yeah, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I've talked to some competitors. Maybe they have a drink or whatever it is before, right? And working, keeping your mind on something else, right? That's the problem, is people overthink the situation, right?
Yeah, and it's hard not to, right? Yeah. When you're not distracted by nothing else and you're about to fight, like, of course you're gonna think about it. So I just found that kind of helps me out.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I like that. But yeah, it's been awesome talking to you, dude. I really think that, you know, the approach that you take towards the entire organization and everything that you do, like, you can tell you're a hardworking guy that, you know, you're doing things with the right intentions, and
Thanks, man.
you can definitely see that in what you do. And you know, like I said, we got nothing but great things about all of your guys' schools and all over the place as we talk to more and more people, you know. You guys have a great reputation, and I just want you to continue doing this, man, and keep doing what you're doing, right? Because you're making an impact, not only locally, but it's getting bigger now, right? So, and jiu-jitsu's only growing from here.
Yep.
So, awesome to have you, man. I just want to give you a few minutes to take the floor, shout out whoever you'd like to. Go ahead.
Again, first shout out to my wife. You know, she means everything to me, and my kids, of course. Wife number one. I know some people are gonna give me shit for that, but that's the way I see it. My kids are right there, right with her. Two of my teammates, you know, Lika, all the head coaches, Lika and Tracy, Marcos and Modesto. We got Chewy and now Manny out in Lincoln. Yeah, great people. Eric, amazing job that they're doing out there in Lodi. We got Denny in Fremont, you know, such a good dude. Sang out in Los Altos, the head instructor over there, doing great things over there. Manteca with Domingo. All the teammates, honestly.
Yeah.
My son, of course, in Houston. Chris, and now we're in Idaho. So doing great things over there. And yeah, and to you, man, for coming out here.
Yeah,
helping us.
dude,
So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, you brought the Moreno brothers, man. We were at Arte Suave, and man, Moreno brothers jiu-jitsu was looking good.
Yeah,
and everything they were putting out, and one of them competed and had a pretty quick finish. So it was just an awesome day for them, I'm sure. So
great dudes. Yeah.
But yeah, you're definitely doing something great in the community, man. I just wish you continued success, and thank you for being a part of this. Like I said, taking the time out of your schedule. For fans of Grapplers Talk, make sure you download each and every episode. We drop on Fridays. We're located on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you download podcasts. We're also on YouTube, Instagram. Follow us, give us some likes. Check out Grapplers Talk each and every week. Once again, thank you, Javier, for being on this episode, and we are out.
This is Grapplers Talk.